KiLynn King!
Hi!
There you go. I'm getting the name in before you can start waving at everybody. It's KiLynn King, yes!
Yeah!
We're at Ronin Pro Wrestling here at Broward College South in Pembroke Pines. You're going to be involved in Blueprint Pro Wrestling,
That's
which is
right.
in Deerfield Beach. Big 3-person match tomorrow. Well, actually, by the time we put this up, it'll be after tomorrow, but you're going to be fighting Avery Taylor and also Ellie.
Ellie, yes.
So that should be an interesting matchup in itself
for
Blueprint Pro. What's it like just being involved in pro wrestling, the journey and all? What has this been all like for you?
For me, pro wrestling has been something that I've loved and wanted to do since I was a kid. So the fact that I'm here now doing it and it's like my life, it's kind of really cool. It's kind of like full circle. I started watching wrestling with my brothers when I was a little kid. It was like the only time we ever got along. We beat the crap out of each other. But when wrestling was on, we all got along. We sit in front of the TV and we would enjoy the storytelling and the whoopings. So it's awesome to be doing it myself now. So.
Who are your favorites?
Oh God, China, duh. I'm a big Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker. I'm like your basic, like I loved all the Attitude Era people, like all those people, because that's how my family was. Like we were hardcore and we beat the crap out of each other, so we just related to that so much. So that era really is probably the one that sticks out to me the most.
And you must be very happy that DX is going to be inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Oh my gosh, you have no idea. So one of our coaches at my school is Billy Gunn. And so yeah, when I saw that, I was like, heck yeah, it's about time. So I'm really excited to see that.
You're from Ohio originally.
Yes.
What can you say about Ohio? So many wrestlers have come out of Ohio.
So funny thing, like I didn't know that a lot of wrestlers came out of Ohio until I left Ohio, and then I was like, oh well, I guess I could have stayed there. But yeah, I love Ohio, and you know, like our sports teams don't do much for us, so it's nice that we got some wrestlers doing something for us. I'm just kidding. I'm from Ohio, I'm allowed to say that. So, but yeah, no, that's awesome. It's a good rep for Ohio for sure.
Well, Ohio had the good years with LeBron and the Cavaliers, so at least they had that up there.
Yeah.
When you were getting started in wrestling, how did you find a place? You said you had to come to Florida and then start looking for it.
So I'm a big believer in like the universe pointing you in the direction that you need to go. So I knew I came from MMA, so I knew I needed to make the transition into wrestling. So I was looking for schools, and I just had this gut instinct, go to Florida. So I moved to Florida, had no school in mind, like didn't know what I was going to do, got to Florida. Within a week of living there, I met somebody who goes to the school that I trained at. So I trained from Team 3D Academy with the Dudley Boys, like I said, Billy Gunn, John Cruz, Jay Rios, who we just saw in an awesome match. So week one, moving to Florida, had no idea where I was going to go, where I was going to start training. Met a guy who went to that school at my gym, of all places, and within a month, I was signed up and training there, and 2-3 years later, now here we are. So,
what was your training like? How long have you been training?
3 years for wrestling, and it's intense. Like the school, it's everything that you need to be a wrestler, you get at Team 3D Academy. The conditioning, the psychology, how to execute safely and professionally in the ring, like even just how to be at shows, like how to be around people and promoters and stuff like that. Everything that you need to know physically and mentally about wrestling, you get at this school, and it's fantastic. It's probably one of the best schools in Florida.
Physically and mentally, how was the transition from MMA to pro wrestling? And was there differences in the type of cardio and training? So,
I would say wrestling is more like CrossFit, whereas in MMA, I was more worried about strength. And then the transitioning for me, like it was hard learning how to loosen up, I guess. Because in wrestling, you gotta be quick, you gotta be loose, and you gotta be able to go. And in MMA, it's like you're trying to grab something and hold on to it and not let go. So just loosening up and relaxing for me was probably the hardest transition between MMA and wrestling.
Do you miss MMA?
Of course. You know, I appreciate every single phase of my life that has led me to here. And when I was doing training at MMA, I trained at a dojo called the Cleveland Kwamakan Academy under Shihan Larry Feldman. And the family that I created there is just people that I'll carry with me throughout my whole life. So I miss the MMA, of course, but I think I miss the people more.
Would you still fight in an MMA battle if that opportunity was approached?
If the opportunity, I would have to, I haven't trained in MMA in almost 4 years. Because once I went into wrestling, like I left all my other sports behind. So I would definitely have to get back into full-time training, but heck yeah, like if the opportunity presented itself, why not? That'd be an awesome experience.
Growing up, did you play sports?
Yes. So I have 5 brothers. Yes, I come from a very big family. My parents had lots of kids, and I was the youngest of all the children. So I have 5 brothers and a sister, and everybody in my family is athletic in one way or another. So I played volleyball, basketball, softball, track, and the high school that I went to, we had a very small track team. So if you were on the track team, you did all the events. So I did like shot and discus, and I ran like the mile, the 2 miles. So any sport really that I could get my hands on, I would do. Because my mom always taught us, like, you know, if you're interested in it, try it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. If you do, you do. And then you can never look back and say, what if? So lots of stuff.
Did you have college aspirations academically and or athletically?
Excuse me, I did go to college. I bounced around from a few different colleges.
Up in the Ohio area?
Up in Ohio, yeah. So in high school, I did a lot of performing arts. I did theater, musical theater, and like I was in a lot of choirs and stuff like that. So that's where my like outgoingness comes from, my creativity comes from. So in high school, I lost track of what I was saying.
Just about academically, athletically, as far as college.
Oh, college. So I went from theater. So when I first started college, I started doing performing arts. And then I eventually transitioned into creative writing because I've definitely like more of a artsy brain. And I was in college for about 6 years, and then I decided I'm like wrestling, because wrestling was always something that I like daydreamed about, but I was like, it'll never happen. But then one day I was kind of like, no, like this is something I can do, and I know I can do it. And so that's when I decided to start doing wrestling.
All those things paved the way for you because you were involved in athletics and you were also involved in theater.
Yes.
And pro wrestling is such a sports entertainment type of vibe. So do you feel like you had a little bit of an advantage because you were athletic and also had some theater background?
So I'm a big believer in the path leads you to where you're going. And so like in wrestling, it's really important to know who you are and to know your foundation and where you come from. So I think the fact that I've had that story and I have that journey and I went through all of those phases of let me try this, like it led me to be able to do what I'm doing now. Like having fun in the ring and being creative and being a character and also having the athleticism to do it as well. So for sure.
When you were performing and in sports, did you win any awards? How good were you in high school athletically, and then also performing? Did you do plays in school? Did you sing also?
I did. Don't ask me to sing right now though, my voice is kind of gone. But
what would be the go-to song? What was like, and then a performance? What did you perform in?
One of my favorite musicals is Hello, Dolly. So I would probably transition to that song. It's a classic and it's such a fun song. And I can kind of do his voice the way he does at the beginning. I can do that pretty well.
Athletics? Did you or your teams do well
the awards
in high
and
school?
stuff. So for musicals and stuff like that, I did win a couple of awards here and there. The very first musical I ever did was Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. And if you've ever seen that play, I had the position of the narrator. So it was my very first musical. I told my choir director, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna try out. I was like, but I'm super nervous. Cast me in a really small role so I can just get the feels for it. She casted me as the lead woman in the show, and I was so nervous. I was freaking out. And then we did the play, and I loved it. And I didn't know that we got awards for this. Like, I didn't know that we had like award shows like the professionals. So we get to this award show, and I'm like, oh, what is this? Blah blah blah. And then they announced the winner for the lead actress in a musical, and they said my name, and I was like, wait, what? So that was the first big award I ever won for plays. Sports, to be honest, I won't lie. In high school, like I wasn't as involved athletically in sports. It was kind of just something I did. So I never really like excelled in sports, but more now that I'm doing wrestling, like yeah, absolutely.